Hi, I'm Michael Allison. I'm the Commercial Director at Roma Finance. Welcome to another edition of Roma Talks, where we take the opportunity to speak to members of our Roma family. And I'm delighted to be joined today by our business architect, Adam Bates. Hi, Adam.
Hello, thank you for having me on.
Oh, so a business architect.
Yeah.
Before we do anything else, just explain what that is.
So, at a very, very high level, the role is to help bridge between strategy and execution. So the exec come up with the strategy, and then I help make sure the business is operationally ready to execute it at a very, very high level. But obviously, there's lots of intricacies and other things that are going on.
Process maps.
Process maps. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's key, isn't it? That change it's something we've done a lot at Roma certainly in the last 3 years since I've been there. We're always looking to change journey has been part of our growth strategy.
Yeah, I think being adaptable is so important, and my role, I think, for a lot of companies is quite a luxury in the sense that I don't look after any sort of business processes. I can take a step back and look at the whole business more kind of globally to be able to see areas where things can be improved, or you come to me and say, I think we've got a problem in this department. I can go in and have a look at it from a process point of view and try and find efficiencies to do that.
And I think that's the key, isn't it? Because our process is all linked to a customer journey.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think it's making sure that customer journey is always working for us, but more importantly for the customer as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And the customer should be at the heart of absolutely everything that we do. Although saying that, when you've got happy colleagues that are working on efficient process and feel like they're being valued in their role, then that trickles down to the customer as well, because they're doing more value-added things as opposed to just admin all the time.
So we'll talk a bit more about what you've done at Roma and what we're going to do. But before we do, just tell us how you got into change.
Yeah, so I started in our industry. I came in customer services, as you do in entry level. So worked in customer services for a couple of years. Enjoyed that, wanted to do more, wanted to learn more about the business. So moved up into the underwriting space, where I was a mortgage processor for a couple of years. And again, just kind of didn't want to continue my journey to become an underwriter and stay down that path, but felt that there was more things within the business that I could help with and contribute with. And then an opening came up to sort of work in change as we were putting in a new loan management system, and got to see a completely different side of the business, a completely different world of being able to kind of question things, but in a constructive way. Because no one likes anyone that's there just questioning and moaning and saying, why do this, why do this? It's about coming with sort of solutions as well.
I think it's interesting that in the specialist finance, and obviously this was a separate business, but has led you to Roma itself. There's all these offshoots of career opportunities, isn't it? As the industry's grown and the size of the market's grown in specialist lending, so has the opportunities to build different types of careers. And I think you came in on the telephones and dealing with customer queries, and you ended up working on a transformation program.
Yeah, you don't really know when you start up. I mean, I think unless you have a very, very clear sort of direction and path of where you want to go to, it's really difficult, I think, nowadays to kind of go, I'm going to go to university, I'm going to study to do this, and then end up in that career. And because everything's changing all the times. I was a business analyst for a number of years, and that job didn't exist. This job that I do now probably didn't exist in this form 20 years ago. It's it's ever changing and ever evolving, and as we move with technology and we'll touch upon it, like things like AI and things like that, there'll be jobs and opportunities that just don't exist now in the future.
I think the rate of change has been faster in the last decade than perhaps the previous 4 decades before. Before that, it was certainly when I first started work, it was still photocopiers, fax machines, and all that kind of, and email was there. And then we still got post and all this kind of stuff. But you fast forward now, you very rarely handle a piece of paper.
No, absolutely. And that would have been, even I think, before COVID and sort of 5-10 years ago, that would have been absolutely crazy if you said you don't have a physical file. Well, how would you underwrite something that's not there physically in front of you? And that's relearning. And I guess, the next generation of workers that are coming in that are more used to seeing things digital, more used to seeing things on smaller screens as well. And you have to adapt. And I think as a business and an industry, I think there is more acceptance that you can't stand still. You have to keep moving, you have to keep refining, and doing things the way that they always were just doesn't work anymore.
I think it's interesting, you said before that your roles are almost like a luxury because you don't have any direct interface with business processes. You're there to make sure that they're working effectively and improving, but I don't think luxury is a the right word. I think it becomes almost a necessity, doesn't it? Because customer behaviours, customer wants and needs are forever changing.
Yeah, I think once it's in place, it's hard to see how you couldn't have it before. You've got heads of departments, you've got managers that are fantastic at what they do. They are the the backbone of the business, and they're driving it forward. But it's hard for them to take time out of being busy to kind of go, actually, why do we have this document? Why does this process exist? And there's always room for innovation and change, and we could refine absolutely every process in Roma, and we would be doing business wrong if everything was as efficient as it could be, because it means we're not taking risks, we're not being innovative, and we have to move and change. And you put in a process because it fills an immediate gap, and then you go back and you refine it after time, and that's where you get the full efficiencies.
Yeah, I think the rule is, isn't it? Once you get to the end of the customer journey, it's time to start. It's like when
Golden Gate Bridge.
Yeah, painting the bridge. By the time you get to the end, you got to turn around and do it all again. Because it's that evolution. It's consistent, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So from a colleague perspective, because obviously you've been on both sides of change. Like you said, you've not just dropped into the finance world as a change professional. We know some people have as project managers, etc. And they've done really well. But you've sort of had that colleague lens. What do you think is important from a colleague lens when it comes to change?
I think it's a culture of change. I think it's feeling empowered enough to be able to go, actually, why am I doing this way? Even if you can't think of a better way of doing it, but just challenging it, because I think being able to question things and being able to feel that you'll be listened to is really important. And then I think from a wider colleague things, it's about communication. So stakeholder management, being able to feel understood and listened to is a real key component of it. But I think change just isn't me swanning in and saying, right, we're not doing this anymore, we're doing it this way. It's about a collaborative process, and the colleagues have to be part of that journey. Otherwise it will fail, because we could sit down and you could tell me everything that you do. Tell me everything you do, and you could tell me, but there'll always be things that you do once every month or once every week, or things that you do without even thinking that you do it. And if you're not bought into that process, those could be missed, and that could be crucial. It's making sure that we've got that full end-to-end picture.
I think it is. Also, if somebody's done it 1,000 times this way, you're changing the way somebody works. You're changing the comfort zone, aren't you? You're making people uncomfortable or consciously incompetent.
Yeah.
To try and get them back to being unconsciously competent, on the whole change. See, I know what I'm talking about, the change curve. But you sort of have to help navigate through that journey. That's working with leadership as well. Because at the same time, a business has still got to deliver the numbers.
Absolutely. And my role should never get in the way of that. I should be there to try and question the business and make sure that we are doing things the right way and the most efficient way, but I should never be in the way of the business, if that makes sense. I think another thing that I think is really crucial and that is an understanding of sort of the failure and when things go wrong, celebrating that. I think a culture of being more open about when things go wrong and celebrating the fact that it goes wrong once every 100 times. Well, 99 times that went well. So what can we learn from that one time? Is it a process? Was it a human error? Was something not followed? And how do we sort of iron that off? I think I don't really want to talk about Elon Musk too much, but when it comes to SpaceX, he has a successful failure policy. So when the rocket went up and it exploded after 40 seconds, everyone cheered. And the reason why everyone cheered was because they'd hit the goal of getting it off the ground, and they knew they'd learned so much from that failed attempt. And I think there's a lot to be learned in business about that, right, let's celebrate failure, because we can learn so much more from it than the times that we're just doing things and just going through the motions.
I think as well, you can be over analytical on a failure.
Yeah.
You see it in all walks of life. You only have to watch sport these days, and everything is over analysed and almost takes the fun out of it, of people. And what happens then is sports people take less and less risks, because they're analysed for when. I think there's a statistic, isn't there, that because the analysis of how long a footballer keeps a football now, they take less shots from outside the area. So actually, as a fan, it's boring.
Yeah.
So, but that finds its way. If you like that in business as well, if it's, well, this takes us 10 minutes. How do we make it 9 minutes? you're almost eroding some things from it.
Yeah, and you need to have flair. And in a business like ours, flair is the way we'll make commercial decisions on things. So how can we make sure that the processes allow us to do that safely? I think everything about change is all about managing risk as well. So what risks that we are willing to take as a business now are different from when I joined 2.5 years ago, and definitely different from 10 years ago. And we've now got more structures in place to manage that effectively. And a lot of inefficiency can come from well, it went wrong this one time. We put this process in because it went wrong this one time. Well, what about the sort of 1,000 times before that it didn't go wrong? Things do go wrong, and you have to celebrate that, and you have to move forward.
I love that it's about having the ability to still operate with that flair, that commerciality.
Yeah, because otherwise, we could spend all of our time just refining, and have a business that stands still. And you need to be able to refine, get the efficiencies on the core processes, but still be flexible enough to be able to advance and take risks.
All that'll end up is you're just really good at what you do now.
Yes. Yeah.
And in our time at Roma, I think you're coming up to just over 2 years now. I've been there for 3.5. The change in the business during that time has been seismic, really.
Absolutely, and we are going through, I think, growth pains in some respects. We are transforming the business from where it was to where it's going to be, and it's going to be a much bigger, much slicker. Has to be operation to be able to fulfill what our customers need.
So what kind of things can we expect to see from Roma and from the business architect?
So I think it's a continuing in looking inwards to make sure that we're doing things better. I think we're looking at the way that we communicate with our customers to make sure that they are being informed in the most effective way. We're looking at different contact methods to make sure they can be informed the way they want to be. And we're also looking at sort of transforming our core systems as well to, again, just for that, all of that with the view of the customer journey to improve that.
And that colleague journey as well, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
I think when you onboard new colleagues or new talent into the business, to give them the best tools and the easier processes, it helps with that whole retention piece.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be feeling like you're giving the service that we aim to, and feeling that back as well. That you're proud to be working for Roma, proud to be giving that service and feeling that.
Good. So we're talking about pride and change. What is it that you love about working in your role?
I think it's when the business comes to me and says this isn't working the way that it should do, and we spend time getting to the bottom of it, what the actual problem is. What is the problem? Not the noise around it, but what is the actual problem, and finding a solution for that. And that's seeing that come to life and seeing the comms go out and all of that. I think that's the key thing. But we've had many a discussion with a whiteboard, and we're trying out different scenarios and trying out different things. And I really like that process as well, because I think that's getting people involved and people thinking in a sort of change mindset.
Good. Well, listen, I think like we said, we've changed a lot recently.
Yeah,
we've got a lot more to do. And thanks very much for all your work, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for watching as well. Thank you.